What is going on, world? What's up, everyone? It's Zero here. Today, everyone, I'm bringing you guys a brand new episode of the 8 Below podcast. Welcome, everyone, to 8 Below, and welcome to episode number 5, which we are on episode 5 now, everyone, which is absolutely incredible. I am extremely excited to be bringing you guys this episode, which we are going to be talking about everything in the world of Gears of War 5, and just talking about a few things. Of course, within the world of Gears of War, as far as the universe is concerned, as well as Gears of War 4, moving into Gears of War 5. So this is actually the second podcast I've done on Gears of War. And I'm really, Gears of War, as I've said from the beginning, guys, everything as far as all my content creation, all of that started in Gears of War. And so I think it was fitting that the 8 Below podcast started as a Gears of War podcast, or not really started as specifically a Gears of War podcast, but it started as the very first episode. We talked about a bunch of things in the world of Gears 5 and the possibilities that could come from it. And really, I think the main tone I wanted to set in episode 1 of the podcast was simply that this is a show, or really as a community of within the Gears of War space, we as a community have to really be so much more focused on the content creation around Gears of War. And I think that's what's going to help Gears 5 become self-sustainable as a long-term, moving into whatever the coalition and Microsoft plans on doing after Gears 5, if they plan on making, more, of course, more sequels or whatever the case might be, or if they want to go back and do prequels, whatever they plan on doing with the Gears of War universe moving forward. I think what we have to do as a community is we have to be creating content based around Gears of War, and that is what's going to really help us, or really help the community, and it's going to show the coalition as well as Microsoft that people really are into Gears of War still, that there is a significant following, because we all know there is a big following of Gears of War fans out there, but there's just not a lot of creators based around Gears of War. So I think that is something that needs to change in Gears 5 in order for it to really succeed. Now, guys, we're gonna, in today's podcast, the things that I mainly want to be talking about are a few things. I want to touch up and talk briefly about the esports side of things in Gears of War, and things that could maybe happen in the future. I want to kind of go over a couple of tweets, actually. One that came from Rod Ferguson, and then of course one from Gears of War itself. And then we can also, talk a little bit about some of the community. That's something that I really want to kind of get more and more into, is obviously forums and such that, and I want to, hear from all of you as far as, different comments and such that a lot of you have about specific topics, specific things within the Gears of War universe. I love to hear your guys' feedback and your thoughts on different, specific details, like, the campaign, the story mode of Gears of War. Where are they going? Like, what's the future of it? Where are they going with it? The same thing can be said for like Gears Tactics, Gears Pop. What really are all of these things going to be? So that's what I really want to talk about here today in the 8 Below podcast is a few different things. One thing I labeled, of course, the title of this podcast as A New Year, New Gears. And this is, specifically, possibly going to be a big year for Gears of War. I mean, I think it's probably going to be the biggest year for a Gears of War title ever. I mean, and so that's something that's really great. I mean, that's going to be an incredible thing. But I do want to talk about it a little bit. So let's go ahead, guys, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen with some of you, so you can kind of check this out. You guys can see what I am seeing. If you guys are listening to this, I'll kind of explain what we're kind of looking at and what we're going to be going over here briefly. So on Twitter, Gears of War, the official Gears of War page, they tweeted out, "New Year, New Gears, Happy New Year, Gears fans. Let's get 2019 the year of Gears 5." So, not really telling you too much, right? Well, first of all, guys, I do want to say Happy New Year to everyone. Happy New Year. I hope all of you have a lot of New Year's resolutions that you're planning on trying to move forward with here in this year, in the year 2019. But more specifically here with Gears of War, I'm not. There's not a whole lot that I'm really getting necessarily from the picture that they're showing on Twitter, or really anything along those lines. But what I think Gears of War, as well as the Coalition, are very confident in the direction that Gears of War is going in. I do think that there is between the fan base as well as, just the developers themselves, I think that there's a lot of, they're starting to build up a little bit of some hype for, obviously, Gears Pop, Gears Tactics, and then we, of course, Gears of War, or Gears 5, which is the big one, right? I think, to be honest with you guys, the most important thing I'm seeing is that they're calling this the year of Gears 5, which, of course, obviously it's going to be the year of Gears 5, because for Gears of War, that's pretty much the main title that's coming out this year. But still, this raises some excitement for me, at least, seeing Gears of War is excited, or I should say, the Coalition as well as Microsoft. I think they're excited about it, and I think this kind of leads me into the next tweet by Rod Ferguson, guys, who says 2019 is going to be a huge year for Gears of War, and I can't wait for y'all to see what we're bringing. Happy New Year to you all, and I guess Happy New Gears as well. So, not giving like anything specific, telling us, anything spoiler based, nothing like that. But I will say this: there's a lot of people that are within the Gears of War community that are getting very excited about the new Gears of War game, and I'm one of those people. I'm very excited to see what this Gears of War title is going to bring, and I think it's going to bring a lot to the table. I've got to say, guys, there's a lot, right? There's an absolute lot that is probably going to be revealed in the upcoming months here, leading up to Gears of War 5, or Gears 5, which I've already talked about, guys. With Gears 5, I'm not a really big fan of them changing the name. At least it seems like they are, from Gears of War to Gears, and I'm not a very big fan about that. I did say that in my first podcast of Gears of War. I spoke, pretty, kind of harshly on them changing the entire name of the IP, if they do decide to do that. But nonetheless, I think it's going to be a massive year for Gears of War. I think it's going to be the biggest year for Gears of War ever. I really do. I think this is going to be a massive year, and this could be a huge year in multiple aspects. I think it could be a massive year on Twitch, a big streaming type game with Gears 5. That's a big possibility. I think a lot of people are at least going to give Gears 5 a chance, and play it a decent amount, at least when it first comes out, and we'll see what kind of fan base it builds. And I think that if the Coalition kind of fixes things that maybe have went wrong in Gears of War 4, which I thought the campaign was weak in Gears of War 4, but the campaign was weak, but the multiplayer was really good. I think if they kind of build off of, kind of going back to maybe some Gears 3 success, and then Gears of War 4 with the multiplayer, success, I think that would be really great moving forward. I also think, there's a possibility that Gears 5 should, as far as the esports side of things goes, I really think that they need to move into possibly doing execution as well as escalation. And this is going to be a massive topic, I think, for a lot of us in the Gears community, simply because everyone's, we're starting to get pretty used to escalation. And I'll say this, guys, escalation is an incredible game mode. I think it's awesome. There's a lot of strategy involved in it. But sometimes the simplistic things, like the most simplistic things, tend to be the best things when it comes to video games as a whole. Like when we, a lot of people, and I'll give you an example, in the Halo community, lots of people in the Halo community thought that the simple things were really great. So, for example, not having any sprint, some of the abilities and all these different things that you have in the newer Halo games, a lot of the community absolutely despises it. I actually like having sprint in Halo. I think that's definitely makes it more realistic and better. But I can agree with some of the abilities and stuff as far as Halo is concerned. But what I'm saying is that a lot of people like simplistic things when it comes to gaming. The things that were simple, that wasn't extremely complicated. Like, when you look back in Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2, it was relatively simplistic. The structure of the maps, a lot of the guns, the different variations and all that. Now there's just so much stuff that they've tried to build into these games in the newer Call of Duties that make it just not as good of an experience. So I find that the simpler things usually tend to be better, generally speaking. I know it's kind of from a game-to-game basis, but Gears of War, and I think you can kind of say this about even like a game like CSGO. You look at CSGO, it's essentially a search and destroy. It's essentially an execution except in first person. It's kind of the same thing. And so in my personal opinion, Gears of War, I think what they need to do is kind of have a balance between escalation and execution, or just go maybe with execution once again, because the older Gears of War games, there was all execution, and they kind of moved into this escalation game mode, which escalation is great, by the way. I mean, like I said, guys, it's one of the best, and most fun, in my opinion, most fun game modes to watch in all of esports. But there is strategy there, but I think there's a lot of strategy as well as execution. Just the amount of how many times like it all comes down to like these 1v1s or 1v2s, and there's just so much that kind of goes into those, execution, because you only get one life, and it's like a search and destroy. And I feel the same way, guys, about Call of Duty. As far as the esports side is concerned, I truly believe that what Call of Duty should do is just have search and destroy, or just have one game mode instead of having hard point, capture the flag, and headquarters, or whatever game mode they decide to do. I really think search and destroy should be the main game mode in Call of Duty. And that's just my opinion, but I think the same can be said for Gears of War. I really think that they should, the Gears of War Pro Circuit and the Coalition, I believe, should just stick with one game mode in Gears 5, and I think it would be pretty awesome. I really do. I think that you would see people who are just jumping in to check out the Gears of War events, you can catch on to execution extremely quickly. You know exactly what's going on, because it's like, good, they only have one life and they're just trying to take out the other team. It's very simplistic, but those are the things that people really enjoy. And I enjoy myself. I like watching escalation, obviously, on the professional scale, just because of how intense it is, how strategic it can be at times as well. But people, I believe, who are just jumping into the Gears of War scene, or are interested in maybe creating content around it, or are interested in just getting involved in one way or another, I think, you just understand it better when it's just simple. And that's why I think CSGO is so popular. It's, and everybody pretty much knows exactly what has watched CSGO can catch on very, very easily. The same can really even be said for, somewhat League of Legends, StarCraft, some of, Dota. It's pretty basic and simple. It's like, look, you got one team, you're trying to get to the other team's base, you're trying to destroy that other person's base, or whether it's a team-based game or 1v1. And so that's why I just think the simplistic things are what Gears of War should maybe adopt or kind of bring back, because Gears of War did have that back in the day, and for whatever reason they decided to kind of move into completely changing it up to escalation. But that's my opinion. This is one man's thoughts, guys, on on the 8 Below podcast, my podcast here. And that's just, it's something that I have thought about for a while, with not just Gears of War, but other games like Call of Duty. I really think that this I've noticed that the simpler game modes, or the simplistic things in gaming, may actually make people there's just so much more of a movement behind it. That said, though, guys, let's move on to the Gears Pro Circuit Mexico City Open. We talked briefly about this, but I wanted to talk just kind of briefly about this, the dates of the event, as well as the venue: Friday, February 1st to Sunday, February 3rd. So, guys, we're basically exactly a month away from this event, and I'm really excited about this. I think it's going to be great. It's in Mexico City, which, of course, there's a massive Gears of War following in Mexico City. Lots of people play Gears of War in Mexico, and that's what's absolutely awesome. I mean, it's going to be really cool. And then the prize pool is $200,000, and you get 25,000 Series Pro points, which is great. I mean, that's awesome. So, a decent sized prize pool. And, it's the very first event of the year. And I'm hoping, guys, as the year goes on, you start seeing those prize pools get bigger and bigger. You start seeing more and more of an audience around Gears of War 4 in the Gears esports, in kind of building hype for Gears 5 when that comes out. And that's what's really exciting. But, it's going to be pretty awesome, guys. I mean, of course, I'm anticipating that there's going to be a decent amount of teams that come to the event, and really, as far as what teams do I think got the best chance at winning, I mean, we all probably know that Optic Gaming is probably the team to beat at this point. You could, of course, you could bring up some other teams, Ghost Gaming. You could bring up, Echo Fox, or, I mean, I would say there's a few teams that could maybe take down Optic, but this is one thing that we do know when it comes to the Gears of War Pro circuit. Optic Gaming is always right there, and it's very rare. I think one time we've seen in all of Gears of War 4 where they were not in the grand finals of an event. That is crazy, man. So they are an absolute force to be reckoned with, and I don't see really anybody stopping them. They have a formula that works, and so to me, I'd have to say Optic Gaming is probably, they'd be the favorite, obviously, going into Mexico City. Could there be an upset? I definitely believe that is possible. But that's the other reason, guys, why I think Execution would be really cool, because there's going to be so much strategy based around that. Whereas in Escalation, you die, but then you come back, 10 seconds later, as the rounds go on, it goes, the time before you can respawn is longer and longer. But in Execution, you are one and done sort of ordeal, and I think it would really, you would see other teams really be able to play against some of these great teams. And the strategies, I just think there would be so many different strategies going into Execution, simply because you got one life, and so you're going to really, you're going to see the best players in the world really shine in a game mode like Execution. So that's kind of getting back to that, but nonetheless, we'll have to kind of wait and see as we go moving forward. So we do have the team passes, of course, the roster submission. A lot of this is just some information about the spectators, so on and so forth. But I gotta say, guys, I do believe that this is going to be a great event. I am really excited about it. Like I said, it's about a month away, exactly a month away. So it won't be much longer until we get to really just kind of take in all of the content that's going to be based around Mexico City Open for the Gears of War Pro Circuit, the first event of Gears of War 4 of the new year of 2019. So that's very exciting, really exciting stuff, to say the least. Now, I also want to get into here, guys, a couple of other little, like some details, some things I definitely want to talk about. Guys, for those of you who aren't already on the Gears of War forums, I would highly recommend going to the Gears of War forums. I think that, the Gears of War forums, like any forums, essentially, they are so great as far as being able to go ahead and kind of get your thoughts and what you think needs to be changed or updated about Gears of War, or just get real conversations going with other people in the community. I think it's a really important way of communicating, and definitely the Coalition is looking at a lot of these discussions that are going on in the Gears of War forums. I do want to talk today about a forum or a post that came up from Looney N. This is talking about Gears 5 unlockable characters and weapon skins, no more pack system. So I wanted to talk about this briefly, guys. I think this is a pretty big topic, and this is a topic based around all of gaming. I don't even think this is something that's just based around Gears of War. This is something that I think the industry needs to really take a look at. I believe as long as there's a lot of money being made out of pack systems, it's probably going to be something that of continues. But Looney N, guys, he says, do not bring back the pack system. Allow Gears 5 players to unlock characters and weapon skins through leveling up and challenges just like Gears 3. The only packs that I'm okay with are the esports supporter packs. You can bring those back if you want, just because it helps fund the esports and gives rewards to players that help fund it. The pack system just makes me feel like I haven't accomplished anything and upsets fans because you grind for countless hours, spend all your credits, and you don't get anything you wanted out of the pack because of RNG. I know you guys are probably making a killing on those packs, but your fan base is more important. And guys, Looney N right here nailed it. Guys, I will say this 100% that I couldn't have said this better. I really couldn't have. I think that this is an very well put together post, okay? And this is back like what, July of 2018, and people are still talking about this. And I wanted to give my 2 cents on this. So look, guys, we are in having significant issues within the pack systems and all the microtransactions within gaming. Guys, it really does hurt the experience, in my opinion. There's just, with these pack systems that have come out and the microtransactions, it truly does make it feel like you haven't accomplished anything. Exactly like Looney N said. It does. It really feels like you have not, you just haven't really accomplished much, or the things that you have accomplished just get kind of overshadowed because somebody else bought, this really nice, bought all these packs and got this really sick looking skin or something. I just agree so much with this from the standpoint of this esports supporter packs. Now I'm gonna tell you guys and give you guys an example. I'm very involved in StarCraft 2, and StarCraft, what they do is they have the war chest, and what the war chest is, guys, as it comes out, it's a limited time it comes out. You can purchase it, and then a lot of the money that you go with the purchasing of these skins goes towards the WCS, which is the World Championship Series of StarCraft, and that's the the pro scene, of course, similar to what the Gears of War pro circuit is. And so you can buy that, but there's really no microtransactions within StarCraft 2. I mean, there's little things that you can buy here and there, but it is nothing. Absolutely not even close to an actual pack system that Gears of War has implemented, or any kinds of microtransactions you can get from Call of Duty, or even games like Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead Redemption, all these other games that are implementing all these microtransactions and creating so many hours that you put into the game, and then you don't have much to show for it, because it's almost like the things that you're earning don't mean much because somebody else is able to just purchase those instead of earning them themselves. And that is where we have gone so wrong in gaming. And I'm not really even saying we as in, us as consumers. I'm saying the developers have just gone so... I understand this is a business, and they need to make money. That is cut and dry. In order for us to get more games, they have to be making money. But the best times, guys, and we've seen this countless times when it comes to video games here in the past. And I'm going to go back to Modern Warfare 2 of Call of Duty, because it was a game I played a lot. And something that, you just kind of, a game that comes to mind. Modern Warfare 2, guys, obviously this was before any kinds of microtransactions, okay? Now, people were trying to get up to the 10th prestige in Call of Duty, which is essentially like re-upping. It was after you would get to the top level, you could prestige and then start all over again, and you could kind of work your way up to the top prestige. And that top prestige was the 10th prestige. And at the 10th prestige, you could unlock, all these different challenges would unlock different emblems and stuff. And that was so cool. Like, you would unlock all these emblems, and it was like you could show that off in your title or your emblem. And people absolutely loved that. They thought it was like so sick. And it was incredible. And then if you unlocked all the challenges for, I think it was it for... I believe it was for kill streaks. You would, for all the different kill streaks you could get in Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2, if you unlocked all of those, as far as like you would get, say 100 kills with the the like or 25 tactical nukes, or there's a bunch of different challenges, right? If you completed all of these specific challenges in the kill streak category, you would get this it was called the 10th prestige medallion. And let me tell you guys, it was such a coveted thing that people started to boost up to the 10th prestige and would start hacked lobbies, which this is when hacking was really bad. But anyways, they would start these hacked lobbies to get up to the 10th prestige and try to get everything unlocked, because everything was just so dope when you got up further and further up in the prestiges. Now, that all said, guys, it was 100%. There were no microtransactions, nothing along those lines. It was all just, you earned this shit. And so, in my personal opinion, okay, and you gotta look at it from the standpoint of the developers. They want to make money, but a lot of this is based around like almost gambling, because you're paying money for these packs, whether it's your real money or you're just getting credits from previous games that you kind of build up credits. And it's kind of rolling the dice. You might get something good, you might not. And it's just a really messed up system, I think, with so many of these games. We've seen like games like, Battlefront, did some like just awful types of microtransactions where it was like a pay to win scenario. Call of Duty's has its issues. GTA's had its issues. I mean, so many games, there's just been so many problems that have come from microtransactions in video games. But if you ask me personally, this is the best way to do it for a game like Gears of War. Is, look, come out with a bunch of esports supporter packs, but come out with them consistently. I really think that people would be into the supporter packs and supporting the esports side of things. And then as far as like, I would rather just spend a lot of time on the game, which is going to be good for the game, because the longer that you're playing the game and you're grinding for different, challenges and re-ups and all of that, if you have a lot of people doing that, it's creating a community. It's building community. It's not like tearing it down because people are getting upset because, oh, this pack system is broken, or it's just, I'm not getting anywhere with it. So those are all things, guys, that I personally think need to change. In regard to games like Gears of War, Call of Duty, it needs to be a system where it's, supporter packs for the esports side. Now, games like Red Dead Redemption 2, Grand Theft Auto, games that don't have an esports side of things, I really think when you're doing like a multiplayer type of, like if you have a multiplayer within your game, or like an online mode, you really there needs to be a balance, I think, between, like as far as the microtransactions are concerned and just earning stuff. I really think that you should not be able to just buy all the stuff that a lot of these people are trying to earn. And I know in Red Dead Redemption 2, that's been an issue for a lot of people who don't want to spend however many hours it would take to unlock certain things, and they would rather just buy that stuff, and they use actual real in-world money, to buy that stuff. It's just it's a system that I think is just not, it isn't good. I really think that even games like that, they need to take a second look at this stuff. I really do. I understand it's making these developers a ton of money, but I think the way that we as a community are going to stop this is by, of course, letting the developers know, but also not buying this stuff, these microtransaction, these loot packs and stuff like that, would also probably help the entire situation. I mean, so that's just my personal opinion on it. I really think that we need to be voicing our opinions by, not buying the stuff, not buying into all of it. And I think a lot of the audiences of like Call of Duty, say for example, or even Gears of War, it's maybe a good amount of the audience is a younger audience that just gets their parents' credit card and just buys a bunch of loot packs or a bunch of, supporter packs or whatever it is, buys a lot of microtransactions. So that doesn't help when you have the developers that are trying just so hard to make extra money. And like I said, guys, it's a business, so they have to make money one way or another. But I mean, if you look at a perfect system that I believe that came into effect was Fortnite. Fortnite, guys, changed the game in this entire instance. Look, like, it doesn't matter. Like, Fortnite basically said, listen, the game's free. If you guys want to buy this stuff, you can. If you guys want to buy the battle pass, you guys can, and you guys can rank up and you can unlock shit along the way. Or you can just buy it all up front, and then there you go. Fortnite did it right because it's not like you're paying $60 for the game, and then on top of that, there's all these microtransactions within it. It's a free game. You can just play the game, and you don't have to you don't have to buy the battle pass. You don't have to buy all these other skins and such, but you feel more inclined to, like, okay, I didn't pay anything for the game. It's free, so why not just buy a couple skins here or there, and then you actually end up buying more and more over time just because you feel like you didn't buy the game. It was a free game. And so I think that a lot of video games in the industry, or a lot of developers, should take the same approach. I really do, because then it's justified. When you talk about microtransactions and all these things, a lot of it is justified at that point, unless we're talking about getting a competitive advantage if you unlock a certain skin, or you get a certain gun, or you get, this or that. Then you're talking about like all these competitive advantages. Like, for example, in the Battlefront 2, when that came out, you could buy Darth Vader and you would automatically have a competitive advantage over everybody else. So, and that's obviously not right, okay? And I know they changed that, but these are all things, guys, that I do truly believe need to be changed at one point or another. And as I said, guys, I think Looney definitely nailed it, man, on the head, as far as exactly how I envision, or how I would love to see the pack system, or the lack thereof of a pack system, and you unlock everything as far as the challenges and all of that. And so, like, you end up putting in hours upon hours, because you're trying to unlock stuff, instead of, I'm just going to buy it, and then I might not come back to the game, and then you see the fan bases just start to slowly diminish, and then a lot of those players end up going to a different game, so on and so forth. So I truly believe, guys, that in the future, we as a community really do need to, I think we need to talk with our wallets by not, and I know that a lot of people have said this, just not buying a lot of those, the packs, in the pack system in Gears of War 4. If you want to buy some of those esports supporter packs, those are awesome, because those are supporting the esports scene, and those are building up the the prize pool and all of that, and those are also supporting the teams that are involved in esports. So that's really important. I think that's something that we definitely need to look forward to and do. And all of this, like, all this comes back, guys, to Gears of War, and this being a new year, and a new Gears of War game is coming out. So it's almost like a fresh start, right? Gears of War 4, it comes out. We had, Gears 1, 2, 3 came out. Boom, boom, boom. Incredible games. One of the best trilogies ever made, ever, in all of video games. I do not care what anyone says. You can put Halo up against it. You can put a lot of other games up there. But, I mean, the Gears 1, 2, and 3, man, are absolutely OG classic games, and could really go up against any other game that we could really even, could talk about, essentially. But that said, this kind of leads me into, with the new year, Gears 5 is coming. It's coming, man, and it's gonna. I think it's gonna be a really great. I think it's gonna be a great experience. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. At least I'm really hoping it's gonna be a lot of fun. But we as an audience need to just hope that, and really tell the developers, the things that we want. And I think that, having the supporter packs but not having an actual pack system would really help and make the experience way better. I think having an awesome campaign would be amazing, because then, like, guys, Gears of War 3, when that first came out, I played that game Geez, let me think here. I mean, I played Gears of War 3. I played the campaign like 3 or 4 times. And I played it on normal, then I played it on hardcore and then insane because it was that good of a campaign. And that's the kind of thing I want to have again in Gears 5. I would love to have an amazing campaign mode, an amazing multiplayer, a great horde mode, even a beast mode would be incredible. And then you got Gears Tactics, which is the strategy game on PC, and I'm extremely excited about that. It sounds like a Halo Wars except Gears of War, and it's on PC, so I think that's already going to be incredible. And then Gears Pop, I think Gears Pop is going to be very interesting. It'll be something just to kind of do in your downtime. So overall, guys, it's a new Gears of War. It's almost like this is what I'm getting from Gears of War and the tweets that they sent out. It's almost like this is a new beginning for Gears of War. And I'm so excited about it. And that may be one reason why they're changing the name from Gears of War 5 to just Gears 5. You know, they want this fresh feeling in the community and the IP as a whole. So it might be actually a very good thing. You know, there's, you know, pros and cons to everything. It's hard to say exactly if it's going to be more so a pro or a con, but I am so excited for Gears of War 5 or Gears 5, and I hope you guys all are as well. And I would love to hear from all of you as far as what you guys think about, you know, about the future of Gears of War 4 in the 2019 season on the pro circuit and just in general with, you know, some of the new updates that are going to be coming out here for Gears of War 4. And then also, guys, Gears 5. You know, really, when do you guys think this game's coming out? You think it's going to come out in October? You think it's going to come out in the summer? Most likely it's going to be like a fall release, but, you know, definitely want to know from you guys. What do you guys think about all of this? I would love to hear from all of you, and I want to say thank you so much for joining me for episode 5 of the 8 Below podcast. If you guys did enjoy, please do not forget to leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, stay positive, and as always, I will see you guys all in the next one. Peace.